Can you talk about your career progression? I know you started as a controller, you served as a head of finance, and then ultimately you're a CFO of a public company. So maybe talk a little bit about that career journey that you've had.
I would probably start saying that, getting my double, I guess, 2 degrees, one in accounting, one in finance, passing the CPA exam on the first shot, and then thinking about how I could help clients, particularly in the audit side. I have to say, I was pretty disappointed as auditors at that time. Clients didn't really want to talk to us. They thought that we were adversarial, and then went into the consulting realm and really wanted to make an impact. I think that has helped me with that curiosity about what makes something work better. I think the controllership was pretty easy in coming in and understanding all of the technical application of accounting pronouncement into what actual should look like. And then looking at FP&A side, how I could do the planning and therefore helping all of the executive team to achieve what we need to do. Majority of my career has been in public companies. And so as we're thinking about being public, the FP&A side really is very important to be able to provide guidance. But if it does not work in step with the accounting side, it's really missing the point about how the report card is being issued, on what GAAP earnings per share looks like, and all the rest of it. So I see as my progression in looking at where to go is really about getting involved in all aspects of accounting and finance. And then a lot of people don't think about treasury and tax as well as compliance. And when you think about all of that, is really being able to move yourself around a company and understand in all these different perspectives how to fit it all in, and therefore preparing me, or anybody for that matter, to be a better CFO.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a really good, robust experience, especially mentioning the audit, the consulting, the controller role, and seeing all of that. So I'm curious, was it always your goal to become a CFO, or did it just kind of happen as a natural part of your career progression?
I think it's pretty natural to get there. I think, a couple other things that may not be coming natural to anyone is to think strategically. This word strategic means a lot of things to a lot of people, but strategically for any company is about how to get things done faster and achieving those goals. For example, M&A, probably done about 2,000 transactions, and it comes with due diligence and understanding how to read a company quickly, and then thinking about systems, process, the objective of the company. Are we trying to get more revenue, or are we trying to just acquire a list, a big team and saving on recruiting cost? So when we think about all of that, is really getting into the know about what those objectives are and therefore be a part of that. And I think I've been pretty lucky in that, because of my, I guess, willingness to be curious, to be a part of a team, and to drive to excellence. I think a lot of folks have kind of included me in their team in thinking about, well, okay, if these are the strategy, how would we go about doing it? I think to be invited to that, you really ought to be a good, and this is what I said earlier, what does good FP&A look like? Is to be a partner. And I think that's very, very important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You have to be a good part. You can't just be in your spreadsheets anymore. Doesn't cut it for FP&A as a whole. You got to be helping the business and guiding. Question, you mentioned you've worked on a lot of transactions, M&A. So I just have a question I'd like to ask you. What would be the one or two pieces of advice you would give to FP&A departments when M&A activity is going on, or certain things they should be looking for or doing, particularly, let's just say, if you're looking to acquire versus being acquired? Any advice around what FP&A should be thinking about during those times or focusing on?
Yeah, so I think FP&A team may not necessarily be involved too much with the acquisition process. And when thinking about all those transactions I've had in multiple companies, majority of the times is being done through a business development team who may have their own analyst. And if they don't, they may be tapping on your shoulder, FP&A team, to pull together the model on how this company will add up to a valuation that would make sense for the acquisition cost. And then also focusing on the key strategic about why we wanted to acquire this company. Again, It could be revenue, it could be headcount, it could be a market, capability that we don't have. And all of that would come out to what do we think is going to drive in terms of value. And the FP&A team may be secondary to the accounting team for the due diligence because then we got to figure out what actually happened in this company. So the FP&A team should be as dialed in as possible and volunteer themselves to pulling those models together and then doing a combination between that company and our company or the acquiring company to see if what the synergy could be and how it could be, taking 1 + 1 = 3. And if in case you're not invited, that's okay. Volunteer anyway to any aspect that you can be of help.
That's a great point of volunteer if you can. And, often you'll be tapped to do the model. My last company before I started my own business, I was the one who was tapped to work with Corp Dev on a couple different models. I remember doing all that. They had, we had a Corp Dev team and many different calls, due diligence and different things. And it was a really good experience. And it definitely helped our FP&A team. Okay, here's what we planned for. So they'd know what to put in the budget versus, oh yeah, we don't have any good numbers, but we'll figure it out. I've seen that as well. That never works well
Yep.
for the budget anyway.